here because we all worry about Industrial Revolution 4. My job is to take your understanding to the next level, to disrupt your way of thinking about what is IR4. Industrial Revolution 4 is about disruptive technologies. It is also about disruptive ideas. So my idea, the idea behind my lecture is to challenge your thinking around IR4 with a focus on education. So the title of my talk is The Race Between Human Capital and Technology. So I'll start by telling you what you already know about human capital before I tell you what you don't know about education. So education has been the most preferred policy option for governments around the world for almost over a century, for creating jobs, for increasing labor productivity, for creating new ideas of how we mobilize labor, how we use factor of productions to increase national income. And if we look at the history of East Asian countries, education investment delivered high growth, high employment. And it facilitated transition from a manufacturing-based economy to a knowledge economy. But what we have seen in recent decades is unprecedented change in the way economy is being organized, in the way labor is being mobilized, in the way capital is being used. And all of that has occurred because of rapid changes, advancements in technology that is disrupting the way society is organized, that is disrupting the way economy functions. So the question we are thinking of in our head is, what is the meaning of education policy? What is the purpose of human labor at a time of driverless car, drones, virtual assistants? What does IR4 mean for broader social challenges of reducing poverty, increasing social cohesion, delivering jobs to millions of youths in countries like Indonesia, Pakistan, Nigeria? Is human labor becoming obsolete? Is the way we think about education becoming irrelevant? If so, how we can use policy to win the battle between human capital and technology? Answers to these questions cannot wait, because the age of singularity is around the corner. So what is this age of singularity? It is the cross point at which the combined human intelligence is about to be surpassed by that of machine intelligence, what we call artificial intelligence. If you're struggling to think about it, think of Albert Einstein. He had an IQ of 200 points. In a matter of no time, we will encounter a situation where artificial intelligence will define IQ to the point of 10,000. Machines will have 50 times more intelligence than Einstein. And according to Masayashi's son, this cross point is only 30 years from now. There will be 10 billion robots waiting to take up the space of production. Whether you like it or not, they are coming. Robots are coming. The good news is they're not going to kill you. Bad news is they'll take up your jobs. Okay? Now, you might sort of pause and think that, well, here's this crazy professor, what is he saying? This is still fiction. It is not 30 years, maybe it's half a century, but here comes the science. So here's the fiction part, and here's the science part. The science part says that, well, forget about Indonesia. In countries like United States, 47% of jobs are at high risk of being automated, being replaced by robots. Now, what about Indonesia? 56% of jobs, according to the ILO study, are at high risk of automation. So therefore, if you care about Indonesian youths, if you care about your economy, if you care about saving jobs that globalization brought to you, you have to worry about these questions. These are the biggest anxieties of our time. So, is there hope? And that's where there is some good news. What is the good news? The good news is that, well, technology will destroy jobs, but that is in the old sector. It is also going to create new jobs through innovation. That may not happen now, it will eventually happen. Okay? But it's not going to happen automatically. The reason why technology is replacing human labor is because it is becoming cheaper to write codes to replicate tasks that humans used to perform. Previously, machines were expensive, robots were expensive, but with advancement in technology, the capital expenditure of producing robots is going down. But robot has one advantage over humans: very little operating cost. Humans have low capital expenditure, high operating cost. So that's where robots have an advantage. Okay? So, moving forward, so what is the silver lining? The silver lining is the vast number of new jobs that will be created through innovation. Okay? And also, technology will make people like us, professors, doctors, lawyers, more productive. So that means that according to the McKinsey Institute study conducted in 2017, there are more arrow signs going up, fewer going down in developed countries as well as developing countries, meaning that in the short term, there may be loss of jobs. In the long term, automation and IR4 means higher productivity, more jobs. Well, if it was that simple, we would not be having this workshop today. So where is the catch? The catch lies in the fact that this is not automatic. It is left to us to turn this into a reality. And that's where policy comes in. Meaning that only if we get the education policy right, if we build the right skills, then we can make this transition a race of skills with machines instead of a race of human capital, a race of human capital and machines. So what sort of skills are we talking about? So at the heart of negotiating this upcoming challenge of IR4 is to turn humans as complements to machines instead of as substitutes to machines. So how do you do it? Well, by investing in what economists call new economy skills. New economic skills are those that are intensive in interpersonal skills, analytical skills, things that are harder for computers to replicate. And when we invest in new economic skills, technology becomes enabling. It enhances human productivity. It creates new tasks for human labor. In the absence of new economic skills, technology becomes labor replacing. So this is the challenge. And this brings up the point that there is this mutual dependence between technology and education. Without the right kind of education policy and without the right kind of skills, digital technology brings new risks. It means concentration of wealth. It means greater control over assets. It means greater inequality. With the right, right investment in education, with the right new economy policy, what we call, so with the right education policy, what we can describe as analog components. With the right analog components, digital technologies become a source of inclusion, source of equality, and a pathway to higher productivity. So the question again you want to ask is that, well, are we on the right track in terms of the education policy we have? And that's where the picture gets a bit complicated. If we look at the progress we have made in education. But before that, let me remind you what are the risks. What are the risks of not getting education policy right? And the risk includes failing to achieve a number of sustainable development goals targets, such as the SDG target of reducing global poverty by 2030, SDG target 5 of achieving gender equality, SDG target 8 of creating jobs for everyone, and so on. So, this is a graph that is again a reminder of the kind of risks we face today. This graph shows the global distribution of call centers, pointing out that Indonesian neighbor, Philippines, currently is the country with the highest number of call center jobs. So what is the risk? Most of the employees in the sector are women who don't have new economy skills. So therefore robots are coming to displace this segment unless we put in the right kind of skills policy. And what is the larger implication of this? The larger implication of this is that this rise of machines can lead the whole world into a new gilded age where the returns to capital will be higher than returns to labor. That means greater concentration of wealth in the hand of capitalists. That means greater global inequality. And that is why the World Inequality Report singles out investment in education as the main solution for ensuring equality in the distribution of assets and income. So again, the question is, are we ready for this? How are countries in the region, including Indonesia, doing in terms of skills? And this is where the picture is not very good. What we do know, however, within the region is that countries like Japan, South Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong have succeeded in graduating from manufacturer product producers to key players in knowledge industry. And they have done so by investing in education in the right way. But the vast majority of countries in Asia, including Indonesia, are at the bottom of the distribution of education in knowledge economy index. They are far below the ASEAN average. Forget about being anywhere close to the global frontier, which is where the OECD countries are. So why is this an issue? It is a huge concern because moving forward, this mode of education is not going to be sufficient to future-proof our labor force, to make our youths resilient to technological unemployment. And why is that so? It is because this change in technology has redefined the definition of skills. We are in 21st century, and we cannot rely on 19th century skills to compete with robots.